What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some crazy battles in the Open Great League submitted to the channel by Mexico Beckham, who's running a very unique team with Uxie in the lead, a Pokemon that got a buff this season with Swift, now that's cheaper in energy, as well as Purified Alolan Raticate and an XL Scraggy. Now Scraggy did not get any buffs this season, however it did gain access to Thunder Punch last season, which may be useful coverage against the current meta. Now before we get into the question of the day, I want to mention that last night I tried to live stream, but for whatever reason the stream just kept on crashing, kept on dropping tons of frames, and it just wasn't a very good experience. So unfortunately I did have to end this stream after just a handful of battles, but I'm going to be attempting to redo the stream tonight, so do look out for that. I'll be using 90 unique Pokemon that were buffed this season, and I've spent a ton of resources including all of my TMs to prepare for this live stream, which is why I want to give it another go. So hopefully it goes a lot better than last night's attempt, and I hope to see many of you there. But anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Now that Power Gem seems to be very strong coverage for Sableye this season, what do you think is the best Pokemon to run as a purified Pokemon with the coverage of Return? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, Uxie into Jumpluff. Now, assuming they are running Fairy Wind, this is definitely where we want to see it. Of course, Fairy Wind going to deal more damage this season, so despite not being stabbed, up against our Scraggy, which would take double super effective, that would still shred us. We're actually going to swap out, though, into our Alolan Raticate. I guess maybe just because we realize Uxie, it's not really going to hit that hard. It is very bulky, actually. And with Swift, whilst, yes, it does cost less energy, it still doesn't do much damage. So we swap into our Raticate, and we're able to bait out a Diggersby, which isn't necessarily ideal for us, but we do connect with the Return, and we're also able to make it to a Crunch before the opponent throws any energy. So Crunch will also connect, it drops their defense, it gets them very low, although they have overfarmed massively. So at this point, I assume we probably just no-shield this. Scorching Sands will get the KO there, absolutely fine with us. We can come back in with the Uxie, and they're already at another charge move. So gonna no-shield, they go for another Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands does not drop our attack, which is very nice. And the opponent is going to wait out the switch slot before coming back in with their Jumpluff. We're going straight for the Thunder. Thunder, still not the best move. It's really not going to do that much damage up against the Jumpluff. But likewise, this Aerial Ace, assuming they go for an Aerial Ace, not going to do that much damage either. So we're now going to fire off a Swift. And Swift, from this range, will put them into Feint Attack farm down range for the Scraggy. But the opponent actually swaps into Cresselia. Now, honestly, this is a little bit tricky. If they're running Moonblast, I think we probably just lose this game. But we are going to shield, and the opponent goes for a Grass Knot there, which probably implies that they're running Grass Knot and Future Sight. I can't really see any reason to bait in this matchup, so we no-shield the next move, and it is just another Grass Knot. Now, we are also baiting. I also not really sure if this is necessary, but we do grab a shield there, and now at this point we are going to shield this up. A Grass Knot from this range would probably KO. We have to be careful of the opponent trying to snipe, and we are able to successfully catch the charge move there as the opponent swaps into Jumpluff, going for the Aerial Ace. We can now Feint Attack farm them down, and we should be able to outpace them to back-to-back foul plays. This time we're not baiting, just going straight for the foul play. Foul play grabs the final shield, and we are able to make it to yet another foul play. And of course, from this range, foul play gets the KO up against Cresselia, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we can see a Gastrodon in the lead, so this is a fairly neutral matchup here. I don't have a clue who wins this, but the opponent's going to swap into a Mandibuzz, and we are running Thunder for coverage, so we're actually going to stay in, fire off the Thunder. Thunder does some decent damage there, but doesn't even do 50% of their HP. That's how bulky Mandibuzz is, and also just how bulky Uxie is really, and how it just doesn't have that much attack. But either way, gonna come in with our Raticate here, gonna no-shield, and these Aerial Aces, they're just not doing that much damage here. They do get us into the L health range, but we're able to massively overfarm before firing off the Return. Return gets the KO. They're gonna come back in with the Gastrodon, and we should be able to live a Body Slam pretty comfortably here. So gonna no-shield, Body Slam does come through. We actually could have made it to a Return there, but we're actually gonna fire off the Crunch. Crunch is gonna be shielded, and it drops their defense as well, which is even better. We're now gonna come back in with the Uxie, and again, Uxie very bulky, but we're going to shield, and this time it is the Earth Power, so very good call. They're going to come in with a Shadow Drifloon. We're actually baiting with a Swift. A little bit risky here, but if we can grab a shield, we're actually not able to swap out anyway, so that doesn't really help us. We chose not to throw a charge move there at all. I mean, Swift is double resisted, non-stab. It really wouldn't do much damage anyways, but very interesting there. Either way, going to come in with our Scraggy, going to no-shield the first Icy Wind. They did farm us down though, so they will come out with a decent amount of energy and have a second Icy Wind already loaded. So going to fire that off as well. They're going to swap into Gastrodon. We're going to clear the debuff, then come back in with the Scraggy, fire off the Foul Play, and now with no debuffs, Foul Play will get the KO, and we will just be able to Feint Attack, farm down the Drifblim, and we're able to take that game. Speaking of Drifloon, we're going to stay in the lead this time around, so of course, we've got 2 Dark-type Pokemon in the back. Going to say swap into Raticate, and definitely not ideal to see Wigglytuff, but definitely good to bait it out here because up against our Scraggy, Scraggy has literally no play, and actually, because we land the return, we're able to fully Quick Attack, farm them down there. They're now going to come in with a Shadow Claw for Alligator, and it's going to be a very difficult farm down for the Alligator here, as we are triple resisting the Shadow Claw damage. We're going to make it to back-to-back crunches, which is absolutely huge. At this point, I'm going to come in with the Uxie. I'd assume we probably just fully sacrifice it here. We don't need to shield the first move anyway, so we're going to, actually, never mind. We are going to shield the first move. I don't know what I'm talking about. We can definitely let one move go through, though, so we are going to no-shield the next move. They go for Crunch, but even then, Crunch, not enough damage to take out the Uxie. We fire off the Swift. Swift doesn't quite get the KO, but we get the snipe with our Scraggy, and this is absolutely game over. Again, the opponent will be able to go and debuff us, either with an Icy Wind or a Mystical Fire, or they can just go for a Shadow Ball, which is resisted. I don't really know why they did that, but either way, we're going to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play gets the KO up against the Drifblim, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we can see a Talonflame in the lead, so another fairly neutral matchup here. We're going to go for one Confusion and then swap into our Raticate, and I actually quite like this play just because that basically forces them, if the opponent wants to throw straight away, then they will throw on Alignment there, giving us a full Quick Attack in for free, which is very nice. We're going to go and fire off the Crunch there. Crunch grabs a shield, and they overfarm, trying to go for a full farm down potentially. That allows us to make it to a second Crunch. Crunch gets them very low. They do unfortunately get a full farm down, but that's okay. They're in range where maybe 1 or 2 Confusions will get the KO. So going to come back in with the Uxie. They are boosted. They could have Brave Bird, so we're going to shield. They just go for a fly, but that's okay. This will just be another fly, and whilst they are boosted, we're actually going to double shield this. Okay, I'm not very good at predicting what we're going to do here, but either way, they're going to come in with a Hippowdon, and we are going to go for Swift. Swift not going to do much damage, but we have overfarmed massively, so we grab a shield there, which is very nice, and we should be able to live anything they throw here, so we're going to no shield. We're basically going to continuously overfarm. They go for Scorching Sands, banking the energy, and then we swap into our Scraggy. Now the opponent goes for a Weather Ball there, which is resisted, as the opponent was trying to just take out the Uxie from very low health. Then I'm going to come in with a Dunsparce, and we are resisting these rollouts. Now Joran, still going to be neutral. It does some decent damage there, but resisting the fast move means they're not going to be able to farm us down. They have to throw a second charge move, which is absolutely okay with us. We, of course, got no shields remaining. A Drill Run will get the KO from this range, but we can overfarm here. Not going to overfarm too much just because we don't want to be too low, but we're going to go and fire off the Swift. Swift gets the KO, and now we should maybe be able to make it to back-to-back Swifts. It will be very close, though. We go for one Confusion, fire off the Swift, and we are just barely outpaced to the next charge move. Very unfortunate there, but Weather Ball gets the KO up against our Uxie, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, and this is a great matchup for the Uxie here, of course. These Confusions, they're not doing that much damage because, once again, Uxie not very attack-weighted, and Clodsire definitely not very attack-weighted. We're then going to swap at the same time as the opponent, and very unfortunate, but this is a core breaker for our team, of course. Bug going to be super effective up against both Psychic and Dark-type Pokemon. We're going to fire off the Crunch here. We have massively overfarmed, though, so it could be a return, and we grab a shield. Unfortunately, we don't get the debuff there. We should be bulky enough to live an X-Scissor, though, so X-Scissor will unfortunately put us into farm down range, but not before we make it to the return. So gonna fire off the return here. Return is gonna be no shielded, and we flip switch advantage, and they come in with Azumarill. Now, this is a little bit awkward for us as well, but if we can land a Thunder, that would be absolutely massive for us. So we're going straight for the Thunder. Thunder is unfortunately shielded by the Azumarill. At this point, kind of have to no-shield this just because we need to save a shield for our Scraggy in case the opponent makes it to a play Wrath. But we will be able to make it to another Thunder, but we overfarm too much here. Maybe trying to make sure they don't make a catch, but unfortunately that allows them to make it to another charge move. We have to go for Thunder. Thunder does big damage, but not enough damage to put them into farm down range. Actually, never mind. It does put them into farm down range. We're now going to go for a Foul Play up against the Clodsire. And we should be bulky enough to live an Earthquake, to be honest. So we're going to go for the Foul Play there. The opponent makes it to the charge move. The opponent is going to go for a Sludge Bomb there. That probably makes more sense, as an Earthquake wouldn't get the KO. But either way, we're able to make it to back-to-back Foul Plays. Second Foul Play takes out the Clodsire, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we're going to see Shadow for Alligator in the lead, so going to say swap into our Raticate, and once again baiting out the Wigglytuff, which is definitely ideal because we do not want to see it up against our Scraggy whatsoever. Going to go for the return. This time it is unfortunately shielded, which definitely a lot worse for us. We don't even make it to a Crunch for some chip damage or potentially debuff their defense. Now this is not great because, of course, They get a huge farm down. We're going to no-shield the first move as the opponent goes for the Icy Wind, which will debuff our attack. Just going to make it even harder to take out this Wigglytuff, and we're also not throwing straight away. I kind of understand that, but also, like, we kind of just need to get rid of the Wigglytuff at this point. Gonna go for the Swift. Swift is double debuff now. It doesn't get the KO there, so we have to throw another Swift. If we thrown slightly earlier, we would have obviously got it off before they debuffed us for a second time. But anyway, it's going to come in with our Scraggy. Just hopefully they don't have a second fairy in the back. They're going to fire off the Hydro Cannon, and we're going to overfarm here, fire off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch might not get the KO from this range, but it does grab that final shield, and it's a CMP tie now. It's a bit awkward just because they will be able to make it to another Hydro Cannon before we make it to our next charge move, but they actually come in with their Cresselia. If they're running Moonblast, this is game over, and the opponent is actually running Grass Knot, so once again, Grass Knot and probably Future Sight, otherwise there is literally no reason for them to go for Grass Knot there. But either way, gonna go for the foul play. Foul play, we're then able to swap and make the catch onto our Uxie. Perfect play there, catching the Grass Knot. We will be able to go for a full feint attack farm down, coming out with the Thunder Punch loaded. Is this enough damage to take out for Alligator? It absolutely is, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, Uxie into a Licky. Now, of course, they could be running Shadow Ball, so we're actually just going to swap out there. I'm not even going to stay in and wait to find out. We're going to swap into our Raticate, going to fire off the return straight away, and if this does connect, return, going to do big damage up against the Moltres. Are we going to shield this? We absolutely are, as the opponent's going to go for the Brave Bird. Brave Bird, I'm not sure if that would have taken us out. Probably would have done, but either way, going to shield that up, play it safe. Now they can spam Body Slams very fast with the Licky, but we can still live this, so we're going to no-shield once again. Now we've already landed a return, but the opponent swaps into Alolan Marowak, oh sorry, Shadow Kanto Marowak here. We're going to go straight for Crunch, grab a shield, and drop their defense, which is very nice. We're now going to come in with the Uxie here, just going to no-shield, sponge the damage, as Uxie, as I mentioned several times already, pretty bulky. Going to go for 2 confusions there, that is very good timing, then firing off the Swift. Swift not going to do that much damage, but they are debuffed in their defense, and again, probably just going to no-shield this, and potentially swap into our Scraggy at this point. No, never mind, the opponent's going to swap out into their Licky, and Scraggy, whilst it doesn't have any fighting type moves, does at least resist the rock damage here. If they have to go for Body Slams, a Shadow Ball would be resisted. So again, just going to no-shield this. The opponent fires off the Body Slam, absolutely okay with us. We're now going to overfarm here, throwing after 4 feint attacks. Once again, very good fast move timing. Going to go for the foul play. That actually doesn't quite get the KO, but I don't think it really matters here. We can just shield this up, and the opponent's going to come back in with the Marowak. We can feint attack, farm them down, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we can see a Malamar in the lead. So, of course, got 2 Dark-type Pokemon in the back, but unfortunately, a Superpower is going to hit for double super effective damage. So, definitely going to shield, respect the damage, and they're going to come in with a Shadow Empoleon. So, that is interesting. We're going to fire off a Crunch. Crunch won't be enough damage to get the KO, and it doesn't drop their defense either. But I think we should be bulky enough to live a Hydro Cannon from this range, and we do just barely hang on there, making it to another Crunch. And Crunch, honestly, should be grabbing a shield here. It does grab the shield, but our Switch Clock is already up, so we're actually going to swap straight away back into the Uxie, and we're just going to no-shield this. Again, Uxie, very bulky, sponge that reasonably well, and we're able to make it to a Thunder. Now, unfortunately, this is not a great position to be in, but Thunder does do some decent damage. These confusions are triple resisted by the Psychic and Dark typing, but they go for the foul play. They don't really overfarm by too much either, which is very nice. We can now come in with the Scraggy, and maybe try and make a catch, and we're able to make the catch once again. What a play, catching the Superpower. We're actually now going to be able to fully feint attack, farm them down, and what they have in the back, they've got a Drifloon once again, so I don't know if we're getting pretty lucky or if Drifloon is the new meta, but we're seeing a few of them here. Going to go for the foul play. We're going to not throw our next charge move straight away, instead going to shield, maybe waiting for the opponent to try and make a catch. They go for the catch attempt there, doesn't work out, and now we can just fire off the next foul play. Foul play gets the KO despite being debuffed, and we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, you can see a Walrein in the lead. So neutral matchup here, but an ABB style team. So you do typically want to swap out, and we are able to bait out the Fairy Wind Jumpluff. Again, very good for us because Scraggy does not want to see this whatsoever. So at this point, going to no-shield, once again landing the return, dealing big damage, and we should be able to make it to a Crunch. I mean, they will make it to an Aerial Ace, but we can actually tank it from this range. So we'll win the 0 shield scenario if the opponent does no-shield this, but we're going to go and fire off the Crunch. Crunch is going to be shielded by the opponent. We can swap out once again, so going to swap back into our Uxie, and again just sponge the damage here as the opponent is going to go and fire off another Aerial Ace, not really dealing that much damage. We're going to commit to a full Confusion farm down. Once again, gonna no shield this as the opponent goes for the aerial ace, and they're gonna come back in with the wall rain. Again, we can sponge this if we want to, so gonna no shield. The opponent goes for icicle spear. We are full sending the thunder this time around though. Thunder will be coming through, and it does big damage. We come in with the Scraggy. We're going for the farm down. Unfortunately, the opponent does swap out there. I don't know if they did leave with a charge move loaded, but either way, this is where Thunder Punch is going to be very helpful coverage up against the Azumarill. We are going to shield up the play rough there. That is very good. Honestly, the opponent could go for Ice Beams at this point, but maybe they're not running Ice Beam at all. Maybe they're running Play Rough and Hydro Pump. We go for a Thunder Punch there, grabbing the final shield. And again, not wanting to throw straight away, just in case the opponent does make a catch. They go for Play Rough, going for one feint attack, and then firing off the Thunder Punch is perfect. That will not allow them to make a catch there. And of course, we've still got 3 Pokemon here, so we are just going to go and fire off the charge move. And I can't even remember what they've got in the back. But either way, Thunder Punch gets the KO. They've got a 1 HP wall rain. We get the feint attack farm down, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we can see Altaria in the lead, so this is sort of okay for us. Gonna stay in initially. We are tanking these Dragon Breath damage pretty comfortably, to be fair. We're now gonna bank the energy, as throwing a Swift or a Thunder doesn't necessarily help us all that much up against the Altaria, but we're able to bait out a Shadow Machamp and grab a shield with a crunch there. And because they go for a full, oh never mind, I was gonna say, because they go for a farm down, they're gonna go and be met with a second crunch, but the opponent does throw on the CMP tie. So at this point we can come back in with the Uxie. I probably would have just thrown straight away there, but the opponent also goes for a heavy slam, which is pretty interesting. We can now go for a full confusion farm down, so that works out very well for us. Unfortunately, they come in with a Alola Marowak, and the opponent is going to no-shield the Swift there, but we can come in with our Scraggy. Just going to no-shield this. It will be a Bone Club. Bone Club did get buffed this season, but it's still not going to do that much damage. We're going to overfarm here. We're now going to fire off the Foul Play just before they make it to the next Bone Club. Foul Play is going to be no-shielded. It gets the KO. They come in with the Altaria, and we are just about able to make it to another Thunder Punch here. Thunder Punch is going to be shielded by the Altaria, and we are going straight for Thunder here. Thunder, it's going to be neutral damage. It does some decent damage. Can we get the Confusion farm down? Oh, it's actually a simultaneous KO, which is a very rare occurrence for a one-turn fast move like the Altaria's Dragon Breath there, but we do end up in a tie. But into next battle, we're going to see Clefable in the lead, so another Pokemon that could be running Swift. The opponent is going to bait with a Swift. Are we going to do the exact same thing here? Honestly, Thunder, non-stab, it's not really the best charge move, so I wouldn't even necessarily consider Swift to be the bait. It's just kind of a cheaper move. But anyways, going to go for the Swift. Swift is going to be no-shielded. Really doesn't do that much damage there, but we can fire off another Swift. And like I've mentioned already, having 2 Dark types in the back, definitely good to see Clefable in the lead. We're now going to swap, and the opponent's going to have a Shadow Ursaring and a Licky in the back. So we are going to go and fire off a Crunch. We did farm up to the potential return, and the opponent is actually going to call that it was not the return there, as return would have done a lot of damage in this matchup. We're going to no-shield. They full send a Hyper Beam, which is huge, but likewise we're also going to full send the return now. Return also going to be no-shielded as they come back in with the Ursaring. And this is a little bit tricky for us, because if they're running close combat, that would one-shot the Scraggy, or pretty much one-shot us, but we're able to swap, make the catch onto our Uxie. The opponent does bait with the Swift though, which is unfortunate, because they actually just get extra farm there, but hopefully Scraggy can come in. We kind of need to call the bait here, and the opponent does just go for a Swift. Huge call for us. The opponent does make it potentially to back-to-back charge moves, but at this point it doesn't matter, as the feint attack will register. It will be taken out the Ursaring, and we're able to take that game. In today's battle, we can see Uxie into Clodsire, so this is a good matchup for us. Definitely going to stay in, at least initially. The opponent's going to swap into Mandibuzz, and we are going to go straight for Thunder. We are just barely able to make it to that Thunder before the opponent makes it to a charge move. We're now going to swap into our Raticate, and this should just guarantee that we're able to maintain alignment here. Of course, these Aerial Aces, they're not going to do much damage. We've seen already, we can tank 2 Aerial Aces before it puts us into the yellow health range. The opponent goes for the second Aerial Ace straight away. We're going to overfarm, not by too much, because we can't actually overfarm that much up against the Mandibuzz before they make it to the next Aerial Ace, but we get the KO, and they come in with a Shadow for Alligator. Now at this point it might actually be worth shielding just to grab a shield back from the opponent, but nope, never mind. Gonna no shield that, gonna come in with our Scraggy most likely. As long as we maintain alignment, we should be fine here, as a Hydro Cannon probably won't be enough damage to get the KO, but we might as well just play it safe. Use our shield here, they go for Hydro Cannon, they're going to swap into Clodsire, and now we can come back in with the Uxie. Now, I'm going to no-shield this as the opponent does full send the Earthquake there, but you can see that only does about 50% of our HP, which is pretty good. We're now going to fire off a Swift. Swift probably not going to do much damage here. The opponent does correctly no-shield that, and they do make it to another charge sweep. But at this point, we're just going to put it all on our Scraggy. They go for the Earthquake once again. Going to come in with the Scraggy here, and we are going to overfarm. This is not enough energy for an Earthquake here. It's just a Stone Edge. Huge call for us. Now we can commit to a full Feint Attack farm down, and we've got so much loaded energy. Really good call there. We can now fire off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch grabs the shield. We're going to farm up to very close to back-to-back Thunder Punches here. This second Thunder Punch will be grabbing the final shield, and the next one will, of course, be enough damage to take out the Shadow for Alligator, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see Uxie into Shadow Machamp, so a great lead matchup for us. The opponent is going to stay in initially, at least, and then swap into Clodsire, so they are core broken by a Psychic type Pokemon, which is huge for us, but we've got to be very careful just because, of course, we've got two Dark type Pokemon that absolutely do not want to see that Shadow Machamp, so we stay in with Uxie initially, then swap into our Raticate, gonna tank the Earthquake there, and we are going to farm up to Return and a Crunch here, so going for Return. We're going to go for Return. Return does actually get the KO there. Honestly, I did not expect it to get the KO. When the opponent comes back in with the Machamp, they're going to fire off a Cross Chop straight away. So Cross Chop gets the KO there, absolutely fine. We can go win the... Wow, what is... I can't even talk right now. We can then come back in with the Uxie, fire off the Swift. Swift is going to grab a shield there, and they come in with the Shadow for Alligator. So we are full sending the Thunder at this point. Thunder is going to be shielded by the opponent. We can now come in with our Scraggy, and this should be game over. We can no-shield the first move here. Because we stayed in with the Uxie for so long, they should actually be able to outpace us to the next charge move, and they do win CMP. So this is actually a little bit tricky for us, just because the opponent will be able to come in with the Machamp and farm us down, but I think we should still be fine. We're actually going to go for the undercharge. Very nice play there, giving them slightly less farm on the Machamp, and now we should just be able to come in with the Uxie, go for the Confusion farm down, although this is actually going to be a lot closer than I was thinking. They go for the Cross Chop, and we are able to still get the Confusion farm down, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, you can see for Alligator in the lead, so going to stay in initially, then swap into our Raticate, and the opponent is going to fire off a charge move straight away. So going to be the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is going to connect. It actually does less than 50% of our HP from a non-Shadow for Alligator, which is very interesting, which means we can go fire off the Crunch there, and we should also be able to live this, but they will put us into range where, of course, they can farm us down, which definitely is not ideal for us. So we're actually going to shield that, then fire off the next Crunch. Crunch will be coming through. Crunch is going to be shielded by the Feraligatr. At this point, yeah, I definitely agree with this. We can still live this. They might then come in with a different Pokemon and go for a Snipe, and they try to, but we can now swap back into our Uxie at this point. So I'm going to bank the Crunch there, swapping into the Uxie, and the opponent is going to go and fire off the Earthquake, once again dealing some decent damage there, but we can go and fire off a Swift, and again Swift really not going to do much damage in this matchup, but we will make it to a second Swift before they make it to the next charge move. So Swift does put them into range where we can just farm them down with our Scraggy. So they go for the Stone Edge there, it actually doesn't take us out there, and we get one more Confusion, so we can definitely farm them down. They come in with our Malamar, and this should be okay for us. We can fire off the Foul Play. Remember, we do have a Crunch bank, so we've got to be careful of that, but it actually lets that move go through. So at this point, you can see we're trying to make the catch onto our Raticate, unfortunately not able to do so, but they go for the Superpower. We're able to catch the second one onto our Raticate, and that should be game over. Superpower does take us out. We can come in, get the Feint Attack farm down. We'll be able to Feint Attack farm down the rest of the team here with our Scraggy, so the opponent just concedes the match. So going into the final battle of this video, leading into a Goodra. So again, tanking the Dragon Breath pretty comfortably. The opponent throws straight away, so we get a full Confusion in for free, which is huge for us, as that would allow us to outpace them to the next charge move, but the opponent's actually going to swap into a double kick double, which is definitely not ideal for us. We're taking double super effective damage from these double kicks. Well, I've said like double and dub like so many times in the past couple of sentences. We full send the return though. We should actually live the Body Slam here, but I think they will be able to farm us down, which is very unfortunate. No, never mind. We get the Quick Attack farm down. We win the zero shield scenario up against a double. That's actually insane. We can now farm up to back-to-back Swifts here. Gonna fire off the first one. Swift is going to grab his shield from the opponent, and we're still able to throw a second Swift before they can throw the next charge move. Swift number 2 does connect, and we're just putting all our faith into our Scraggy. They go for the Aqua Tail. That actually doesn't get the KO. We come in with the Scraggy. We get the Feint Attack farm down. and they've got a Whiscash in the back, so fairly neutral matchup. We should be fine here. Of course, if they go and debuff our attack with a Scald, then we'll eventually be able to swap out anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But we connect with the foul play. Gonna just play it safe, use our shield. The opponent goes for a Mud Bomb there, which we can tank pretty comfortably. So we might even no-shield the next move, but we are going to, never mind, we are going to shield this, and we are just going to commit to a full fast move farm down. Once again, able to make a catch there. I don't think we even needed to make the catch, but it's still very nice to see. We get the feint attack farm down, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.